Hashem, right? And that's the basis of Emunah. Then the second one we did was idol worship, right? Not believing in other idols, but then we realized that idols are not just bowing down and doing rain dances, but really running after things that cut God out of the picture. So, you know, whether it be running after money or chasing after fashion or all these things that we run after and we forget that God is the source of all the things that come down, that is where the problem with idol worship is. So tonight we're doing oneness of God, okay? Knowing that God is one. So this source actually comes, the source for this mitzvah comes from a very famous mitzvah that you are commanded to do twice a day, and that is the saying of the Shema, okay? So now if you want to say oneness of Hashem, the way of saying that in Hebrew is Yichud Hashem, which means oneness of Hashem. So knowing that Hashem is one is the third of the mitzvahs. So now I'm just going to start with a little story about this idea of Shema and how it is so deeply ingrained in us since we were born, and it's basically, it is our mantra. There was, during the Holocaust, a lot of parents were having, you know, very hard time, like giving up their children, and all these things are like, what am I going to do? I know they're going to come knocking on my door, they're going to take my children. So there was a lot of people who would send their children to, you know, an orphanage or perhaps to a church and ask them, you know, can you just hold on to my child while I go to labor camp? I'll pick him up in a few months. These parents not knowing what was going to happen to them, and they just figured, let me safeguard my child while I have to go work in these labor camps, right? I mean, anybody who's been to Poland knows exactly what happens after labor camps. They were in death camps. So all these parents are dropping off their children. Now, this famous rabbi, Rabbi Eliezer Silver, who's actually the head of the OU, right, the Orthodox Union, in America, when he came back, he was in America, he was saying, he's like, I remember that there were tons of children who were left in Eastern Europe in these churches, in these orphanages, and I know that they're there. So he went out there and he's trying to gather the children, and all the nuns and priests were like, I don't know what you're talking about, like, I don't know why I'm giving them a southern accent. They don't have a southern accent. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, they're not here. There's no Jewish children here. And they wouldn't allow him to come into the church to find the children. So he had this idea, and he like put on this some like U.S. Army like costume, and he went in dressed up as a sergeant. He said, I demand you will let me come into these churches. So he came in, and they had to allow him in. And what did he do? He saw these children roaming around the, I want to say monasteries. I don't know where they run around when they go to church places, but I always notice that there's a house next to the church, right? So they go into the house to try to find the children. And all he did was, Shema Yisrael. And all of a sudden, all these kids looked at him, and they're like, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And he's like, those are my kids. And he didn't do this in one place. He went all over Eastern Europe, just saying the word Shema Yisrael. He came back with hundreds of Jewish children. He brought them all back to America. And all by saying this word. So what are these words, Shema Yisrael? And how are they served as a guiding light, right? We say the Shema. It's the one thing that everybody can read in Hebrew. It's the one thing everybody says by heart. I did notice that in shul on Shabbos in Lawrence. There was one part that everybody was able to do, and that was the Shema. Everybody was able to sing along by the Shema. So there must be something up with these words. And what is the mitzvah that we derive from it? So the 6 principles, right, of God awareness, they're all the building blocks in me building a relationship, real relationship with Hashem. So the first 2 weeks we spent on knowing the person that we're having a relationship, right? The first one is Leida Sheyesh Eloka, to know that you have a God. So we met him, he came into our house, we invited him in, we understand the concept of free will. Now that we have, right, the first one was knowing that Hashem is there, knowing who Hashem is. Secondly, we know that there is no other. So we know this idea of Hashem, now we know there's no other, and now we need to understand the extent of his presence in my daily life. We spoke about this a little bit in the first class when we said that everything that we know has to be run by Hashem. So now here's this idea of, we learn this from this prayer of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So we say this, we say God is the master of the world and he is one. Right? Who echad. Echad means one, right? Echad, shtayim, shalosh. So God is the master of the world. He is one. And he is one. What do we sing by he is one? He's not 2. He's not 3. He's not 4. He's not 5. What are we saying? By the way, he's not 3 like the Holy Trinity, like the Christians, right? He's not. He's only one. What does that mean that he is one? What are we referring to? We need to understand this concept of oneness of Hashem, of wholeness of Hashem, and the fact that he created this world with this wholeness, okay? God created a unified world without fragmentation. Every aspect of our lives, okay, is connected to something greater, okay? We know that. Every action I do has a reaction. You watched it. You saw it, Pay It Forward. Unbelievable movie. Very sad that the boy dies at the end. He does die at the end, right? Right? Very, very sad. I was like, am I talking about the right movie? Kevin Spacey, right? We love that movie. Everything that we do has a reaction in the world to come. There's some kind, we're part of something much greater. You see sometimes, you look at the world, and often, a lot of times, I see things as separate. I automatically say, this is good, this is evil, right? Talking nicely is good, gossiping's bad. Shabbos is holy, the rest of the week is mundane, not holy. Automatically, our brains, we categorize things. This is one side, this is another side. Ever, get that feeling? I said this story on Shabbos where I had this, major issue because I wanted to lie, but then I didn't lie, and I said the good angel pops up on one side, right? You're in a situation, okay? For those of you most of you were there, but I'll tell you a little story. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I'll say it again. I was supposed to go to the city to learn with people at the JC. They all canceled, and I decided to go to the city anyway and go shopping. But before I made that decision, which was really bad because then I ended up bringing my wallet with me, and I couldn't buy anything, and it was Hashem's way of telling me, don't lie. So basically, when I remember driving to the city, and I'm like, ooh, the good angel's telling me, Faigy, right? Go home, go put your kids to sleep. And the bad angel's like, no, go to Neiman Marcus, go shopping, right? It wasn't Neiman Marcus. It wasn't Neiman Marcus. I went to Nordstrom's Rack. But he's like, go to Nordstrom's Rack, right? And I see things, one is the good angel, one's the bad angel. And when I listen to the good angel, he says, good job, Faigy, you did the right thing. And the bad angel slaps me 5, and he's like, I got you on this one, right? So this is often the description, that the imagery that comes to mind whenever I want to make a decision. But that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Because it's not really true. Get a load of this. The bad angel works for the good angel. And who's that? Come on, who's the good angel? Hashem. Hashem hired the bad angel to work in order for me to work harder, right? And you're like, come on, Hashem, why'd you do that? Why would you create an evil inclination? We have an evil inclination. What is that? A drive to want to do bad. I'll give you the Hebrew word for it. You might have heard it before, the Yetzer Tov, which is the good angel. Yetzer Hara is the bad one. Ever heard the Yetzer Hara? Ever heard that phrase, the Yetzer Hara? Yetzer is like a creation, the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara. I'm going to refer to him as the Yetzer Hara just because when I was a kid, it was like he was the bad guy, the Yetzer Hara, right? So the bad angel, the evil inclination, works for the good side, okay? So tonight, we're going to try to understand what that means and why God would create me with a drive to want to do bad. So think about it, because you might have an answer, but I'm not going to call on you because I want to give you some examples. Okay. So this concept of the Yetzer Hara is very deep, okay? It's like you can study it. Some people say the Yetzer Hara is the snake in the story of Adam and Eve, right? And then when they ate from the apple, they caused the evil inclination to become inside of us, right? There is this concept that the evil inclination used to be outside, and it used to not blur my vision, not blur me from wanting to do bad. But as soon as they ate from the tree, they brought this evil inclination within them, and now it causes me to feel certain ways, to feel desire, to feel the want to do bad. We spoke several times that the reason that we're here in this world is not to get a free pass. We don't want to just breeze through this world. We want to work in this world so that, right, we want to earn that A+. We don't want to just get a B+. We don't want to just get an A+ for nothing, for taking Professor Ince's class. We don't want that. We want to work in this world so that we don't, basically what the Torah says, we don't want to eat shameful bread. We don't want to eat something that doesn't belong to us. We're just going to feel so silly. So we know that we want to work. Hashem gave us this Yetzer Hara, this want to do bad, to challenge us and make us struggle so that we can truly enjoy life and the world to come. Very, very deep stuff here. Okay, let's try to understand this. Anybody here ever take the GREs? Who took the GREs? Okay, so you know when you go in, they strip you down first. They're like, No pens, no phone, no watch. They take off your watch because they don't even know what time it is. They take everything away from you. You have to like go through a metal detector. You have to put everything in a locker. They give you the key. You cannot go to the bathroom. Like if you want to go to the bathroom, you have to like put in for a request. You have to sign out. You have to sign in. Every time you go in, you have to give them your license. You have to give them like a photo ID. Every time you walk, I know because I took it twice. So I'm like, I know I got it all down, right? So you really, this is like very scary, very intimidating. What is cool about the GRE as opposed to the SAT? The SAT, first you take the PSATs, very, very like intimidating, but it's everybody gets the same test on the SATs. What is the difference with the GRE? The GRE is geared to you. They give you, everyone gets the first same question, okay? So everyone gets one basic question. I took my GREs in psychology, so I take the first one, basic psychology question. Fine. You get it right, you automatically get a harder question. You get it wrong, you get an easier question. It gauges your work. The more you're getting right, the harder your test is. I knew I was bombing because I was getting such easy questions. I'm like, this is like 6th grade psychology, if they even teach like psychology in 6th grade. And then I'm like, wait a second, that means I'm doing really bad if I'm getting easy questions. So what happens with the GRE is that it's gauged to everybody's work. Everybody has a different one. I can be in a room with 20 people taking the GREs, the psychology GREs, and we're all taking different tests. And then you get your answers on the spot, which is like, I hate that. I'd rather just be like, get me out of here, give me answers in 6 weeks, I don't feel so bad, right? So now, this world, okay, everybody, this world that we're in was created specifically for you. You. Each soul has its own role in this world, and each soul has its own set of challenges in this world, right? Some people are born into this world rich, some people are born into this world poor. Some people are born in privilege, some people are underprivileged, some people, everybody has their own bag, okay? Everybody comes into this world with a little suitcase filled with all their stuff and all their problems and all their good things and all their bad things. Everyone has it in their little bag, okay? We come down to this world. Everybody, think about it, everybody's born in with a different set of genes. We all may, be nice young Jewish girls from Long Island or wherever we're from, right? But we all have our own specific genes. We all are brought here with a different task to fulfill. And because of that, we have our own different challenges. Now, think about it this way. If there were a group of gangsters, okay, grew up, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not being racist. People who grew up very, very underprivileged. They have no food. They have no money. They are raised to be thieves, okay? You can imagine, right? Homeless people, people don't have anything. They don't know how else to live. They live by stealing food, right? Think Aladdin, right? Remember that movie? I forgot the song where he's like running around like stealing bread off of people. Somebody knows it. See, this is where I need the app to like be, what's the song for that? What is it? There's like one word that keeps going on. Nobody knows Aladdin? Nobody knows what I'm talking about? Right. Is that what it is? Oh my gosh, it's gonna bother me. So I'm like, Google it tonight and watch it. They call him something. They call him like a rat. What do they call? Street rat, right? Street rat. I don't buy that, right? Is that the tune? Okay, I'm totally gonna embarrass myself. Okay, so think Aladdin, right? Okay, somebody can Google it after class. So what does he do? He lives by stealing off people, right? He's like jumping off rooftops. Now it's bothering you. It's in your head. Do you know it? You hear it, but you can't sing it, right? I know. Oh, you could? So sing it. Just tell me the words. What are the words? No, she's getting that. What? Yeah? I know. If only they look closer. Still. No, I'm mixing it up with like when they're on the carpet. Oh, right. Yeah, gotta eat to live. Right? Oh my gosh, this is on. So, you have it? Okay. No, it's okay. Okay, I believe you. So let's think Aladdin, okay? We had the perfect picture, right? He's jumping off like sultan's castles and whipping off bread from people. That is how he was raised. Do you expect anything more from him? No, because that is how he's supposed to live, okay? Now, we have another situation. We have people who shoplift all the time. They don't have money, right? Or they just have this like some serious issues with shoplifting, right? So they're in the store and they're stealing and they're taking, like whatever they can from the front counter. They walk out. Perhaps they're taken to court. And what do we claim? she's a disease. Or we claim insanity. Or we say, oh, I'm sorry, at that moment when she chopped the person into 25 pieces, she wasn't there. She wasn't there. And what do we do when we claim that other reasons for us acting the way we are? What are we doing? We're claiming that we have no free will. Think about this. This is a very, very deep concept. When I say that somebody acts the way they do because they can't control themselves, yes, there are some people who need to be institutionalized. There are people. But then when we start doing it with the common people and we start saying, that's just the way they were raised, what do you expect? He was raised in the Bronx, he was raised in Harlem, Bed-Stuy, that's how they're going to be. No, that means you have no free will to want to change. Is it harder for that person to change? 1,000%. If I, okay, at the end of 120, if I go up to heaven and Hashem says to me, Faigy, so tell me what you did in your life. And I say, well, I never killed anybody. I never stole bread. Oh, no, I never did that. What's he going to do to me? Be like, that wasn't even on your GRE. That wasn't even a test that I ever gave to you. Why? Because I sent you down to this world with something totally different. You never had the Yetzer Hara or drive to want to steal. Or, let's take another example. Shabbos, kosher. You all know me. I was brought up religious. Do I feel the drive to walk into McDonald's and eat a cheeseburger? No, I don't. I don't ever feel the need. And you know what? That's because that was in my bag when I came down to this world. Yet, I was also raised in a family full of yentas. My mom and her sisters and all my grandmothers sit and talk about people all throughout the Shabbos table. Do I have a drive to gossip? Yes. Yes, I do. Now, think Aladdin. If Aladdin will resist 1 second for picking up that loaf of bread and says, today, I'm not going to steal. I'm going to find some honest way to eat, even though my circumstances allows me to steal, because that's it. I'm in this situation. And if I don't steal that one day, that's like me resisting from like blurting out like the biggest piece of gossip to you, because I have the same way. Now, it goes with a point system, just like the GREs, just like it's gauged. If I, after 3 or 4 times, can resist the text, right? Or sending out that, gossip blast or whatever I want to send to my friends in my, BBM group, right? If I can resist that, after 3 or 4 or 5 times, things get harder for me. Just like if you get the answer right in the GRE, it gets harder. It then gets harder. I'll give you another example. You go to the gym, right? And you can lift 20 pounds worth of weight, and it's hard, so hard. But after 6 weeks, I can lift 20 pounds. If I continue to lift 20 pounds, is that going to make any difference in my arms? No, I need to raise it. I need to go 30, and then it's harder, and then I get used to it, and then I do 40, right? My mother-in-law is a huge runner. She goes running every single morning. Yes, every single morning she goes running for 50, 60 minutes, right? Like an hour she's running. One morning she asked me, Faigy, do you want to go running? And I'm like, sure. She's like breezing by, and I'm like, oh, and I can't breathe. I'm Charlie Horse for like 3 days. I can't walk down steps. Every time I walk down steps, I'm like, ow, ow. I got so much more exercise out of my run than she got out of her run. Why? Because she's used to it. She's built up that energy to be able to do that. So I got more exercise out of that. Me, the non-runner. Same goes to you. I keep Shabbos, 2 points. You keep Shabbos, 200 points. You don't gossip, you guys don't gossip. You don't have that issue. I gossip, and like I control myself, 200 points. Why is that? Because everybody has their own Yetzer Hara. So what is the Yetzer Hara? What is the idea of the Yetzer Hara? What is it meant there? Why is it in our life? To push us further. Because if we have no challenges, we're stuck lifting 20-pound weights for the rest of our life. And sometimes, so many times we forget what these challenges are for. I like to give personal examples. I'm going to say another personal example. I'm sorry. By the end, like after you get to know me, you will know every single thing that happened in my life from when I was born. Okay, there are times in my life where I don't understand why something is happening to me, right? Ever have that feeling where you're like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Right? I'm like, God, like, why are you sending all this bad thing? And I think this has to do, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but I know that you asked this question about like why good things happen, Rachel, okay, why bad things happen to good people, right? Remember you asking those questions? So this can answer a little bit more, right? here we are, we're in a world where we're given challenges, right? We don't always understand what the challenges are for. But remember last week, okay, we're building on last week's class, where we said idol worship. We have to remember that Hashem is in the picture. So now let's take it one step further. Hashem is the Yetzer Hara. Hashem is the Yetzer Tov, the good guy, and the bad guy. And why does he give us these bad guys? Why does he give us this bad guy? In order for us to grow. So here's an example. A guy, right? He's training to be like a sergeant, okay, in the army, in the Israeli army, even better, right? Okay, he wants to be in the Tzahal, he wants to be part of the Israeli army, he wants to be a general in the army. So he has to go through a lot of training. They send him on his first mission, he goes out there, and on his first day, he has this like whole mission, like all these things he has to accomplish, and his tank, right, like tanks have like, don't have tires, but let's pretend tracks, right, okay? So he's in his, like, the tanks are going, everybody's ready to fight this mission, right there, you know, and then he's in his Jeep, and he's, you know, driving the Jeep, all of a sudden he gets a flat tire, and he can't move. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't fulfill my mission. So he goes to bed, he goes home that night, he's sitting in his tent, like in the desert, and he's like, I can't believe I wasn't able to fulfill my mission. Okay, tomorrow, God willing, he's a Jew, God willing, tomorrow I will complete my mission. I'm sorry, he apologized to everybody, I'm sorry we weren't able to complete it. Comes the next day, they're on their way to complete their mission, one of his men goes down. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't even continue because this guy went down and I need to like get him IV, we need help, call an ambulance, right? Goes to bed that night. He says, tomorrow, God willing, I'm going to fulfill my mission. And he's sitting there in his bed and he's thinking to himself, I'm so dumb. They're testing me. They want to see how me, future general in the army, will react under pressure. They are trying to see, and he's like, I got it. I finally got it. Why they keep giving me these obstacles so that I can move forward and they can grade me on how I get through obstacles. Hashem is the same way. I go through life, I don't understand why things happen to me. Some of you know this about me. I tried really, really hard to get into this program. Like, I spent like 7 months writing a research paper. Those of you who know the story, heard it a million times. I worked really, really hard. I did not get in. I am at the JC because I did not get into that program. That's my answer. I don't know why I didn't get in. When I was in that moment, I promise you I cried for 2 weeks straight. And I was feeling sorry for myself, and I cried to my parents, and I cried to my like, don't ask me about it. It was a really bad period. I even remember when I got the phone call, like, it was, like, so bad. They're like, we'd love to take you, but, like, we can't, you know, because we only accept 13 students a year. And I'm like, really? I didn't make the cut? Like, hung up the phone, started crying. I was in front of the cleaners, called Al Melch. I couldn't move for 2 weeks. I sat in my bed eating Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I was like, oh, gosh, I may as well be pregnant. And, like, you know, like, this is not fair. And I'm sitting there crying. I didn't understand until that summer. Okay, all of a sudden I'm like, Faigy, like, I'm at a staff meeting at the JC, like, you want to come on a trip with us this summer? And I'm like, really? No, right now I don't want to do anything. Like, I just want to sit in my bed and like sulk and just be upset. And he's like, really, you sure you don't want to go? And I'm like, okay, you know what, let me see if my mom babysit the kids. I go on the trip to Israel. 2 months later, they have a woman teacher here. She moves to LA because her husband got a job in LA. And I'm sitting there, finishing up school, graduate, didn't get a job for about 2 years, and the only reason I'm here at the JC is because I didn't have another job. Do you understand? Like, why was Hashem testing me? Why were you not getting me into that program? Why didn't you get me a job? I prayed so many times. I cried to you. I wanted to. I quit 3 jobs. Believe me, I had jobs, and I really didn't like it. And for those of you who know, I've complained to you several times about how I hate my other jobs. Why didn't Hashem ever give me a job? Why? Because it caused me to continue to stay here at the JC. That's all. And I'm only spiritually learning, because this is my only learning, by the way, that I ever do in my life is prepare for the JC and teach here. I am only in this situation because of all the obstacles that I've been going through. And I wish you all that one day you'll have the clarity of why all these things are happening to you. Because when you get it, it's that guy sitting in his bed and be like, oh, Hashem is totally testing me. They are testing me. They want to see how I will be as a general. And now I see Hashem is testing me. He knows that, yes, I went to 12 years of Hebrew school, and I graduated, and I got a diploma, and then I spent a year in Israel. But he knows that my spiritual learning would have stopped there. And it did, until I came to the JC. That's it. I would never learn Torah anymore. I would just blame all my time and being like, I'm at a job, I'm working, I have kids. And then he's like, no, this is what you need. And I'm like, when you see it, it's like, oh, you are the evil inclination. You got me. You totally got me. And I see it. And it clicks. And I promise, I wish you all this clarity, because when you see the obstacles coming together to make sense, it's like, it's unbelievable. It's Yichud Hashem. It's seeing the oneness of Hashem. It's seeing, wow, you are so wholesome. You want something out of me, and you're challenging me. I mean, to say it when you're in a challenge, no. Nobody wants to hear it. I promise you, nobody wants to hear it. Oh, there's a reason you're in this pain. Really? What's the reason, right? So that I can sit and eat ice cream all day? What is the reason? Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody. Everybody wants to feel sorry for themselves. I don't know. I mean, I do. I always want to feel sorry for myself. I always want to blame it on something or blame it on somebody or say, but when you see it come together, it's like, it's Yichud Hashem. I mean, every single time the Jewish people were in a struggle, before, let's say, for example, the Spanish Inquisition or the Holocaust, any time they were thrown out of a country, there was always a preparation, like 2 years before, where Jews went out to discover certain other lands. We'll take the most recent example, okay? People moved to America in the beginning of the 1900s, right? Jewish people, a lot of people came, right? A lot of Jewish people actually were on the Titanic, they say, you know? People were coming to America. Did we know why they were in America? No, they came here. Comes 1939, this massive world war. All the Jews are expelled from Eastern Europe, and they have somewhere to go. Unbelievable. Nobody would have ever thought that. If you even go back further, the destruction of let's go back all the way to one of the first examples, the destruction of the Second Temple, right? When the destruction of the Second Temple happened, before that, a bunch of Jews, actually, I'm sorry, this is the destruction of the First Temple, a bunch of Jews were sent out to Babylon before they destroyed the temple. And it says it was an exodus. 1,000 great rabbis were sent out to Babylon. Nobody knew why they were sent out. After the Babylonians came and took everybody out, we had somewhere to go to. We don't ever see it, right? Hindsight's 20/20. I love that, right? Now I really understand what 20/20 is, because now I realize I started to need glasses and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I really need to wear lenses. But hindsight is 20/20. You can see things later on. I know that had nothing to do with it, but it's, I don't know, for all those who wear lenses and glasses, all of a sudden I realized, like, wow, it's unbelievable. Like, I didn't ever appreciated seeing till like now all of a sudden I cannot see. And it's just getting worse, and I'm like, it's so weird that it happens now, but it's getting really bad. But hindsight is 20/20. All of a sudden you look back and you're like, I can't believe it. I cannot believe that was the reason. But you know what? Sometimes we don't see the reason. But when you do, that is what you live on to take you to the next time. To the next time where you're frustrated and disappointed and sitting over Ben and Jerry's and be like, why is this happening to me? That one aha moment can take you, can carry you years. All of a sudden when you have that moment, you're like, oh, Hashem, you were doing this to me the whole time? Really? That's what it was? I thought it was a joke. I really thought it was a joke. And now I see it's you. So what is Yichud Hashem? What is oneness of Hashem? It's realizing that the challenges comes from Hashem. So now we have this Yetzer Hara. So how do we defeat it? Okay, we have the drive to want to do all these bad things, evil things, gossip, talk. Like, I just keep using gossip, but like, I don't know, eating non-kosher or anything that you have, all these things you have. So the Torah gives us a 4-point plan how to control our raving desires that are coming outside of us, right? The bad angel who's telling me to go shop and lie to my mom, right? What do we do? How do we attack those? So there's a 4-point plan. So the first one is to pit your Yetzer Hara against your Yetzer Tov, to pit the two angels together and have them start a fight. And let them prove to each other who's right. How do I do that? I tell the Yetzer Hara, I know you're an illusion. I know you're fake. And I'll prove to you that you're fake, that these challenges are fake. How do I prove to you? Something that is real is constant, okay? And something that is fake, something that is an illusion can be taken away. How do I know my Yetzer Hara can be taken away? Think about it like, we're all women, so we're all moody people, right, okay? So think about, like, there are times, sorry, I'm just, like, generalizing, but we are, okay? So how do I know that my Yetzer Hara is an illusion? I'm in a mood, okay? So I feel this, like, such a strong need to, like, totally blab about, like, somebody or, like, something so silly that happened, okay? This is a real struggle for me, by the way. That's why I keep using this example. I think it comes with, like, I like to talk a lot, so here I like to use my talk for the good and, like, teach classes at JC, but I also like to talk a lot of, like, not that I'm, like, talking, like, trash about people. I just, like to, like, update people on news. I'm a Yenta, right? Okay, that's it. So I'm like, I feel such a need to tell her that like so-and-so is pregnant. Like, I have such a strong desire. But if I can't control, you're laughing, but it's funny, I do. And she told me not to say anything, but I'm like, I want to say it. If I hold off for an hour, that I won't feel such a strong desire. That's how I know my Yetzer Hara is an illusion. If I can alter it by my moods, then it's fake. It's not real. Unless after an hour I still have that burning, burning desire, and then I'm like, okay, maybe it's for the good. Maybe I'm allowed to tell her that she's pregnant. But otherwise, it changes. Think about like such desires to eat. I get this all the time. I have a massive craving. Stick a piece of gum in your mouth and you'll control it. And in an hour, I won't feel that strong desire. That is an illusion. So the step number one is take the good guy and take the bad guy and show them who is real. In a minute, that bad guy is going to poof and he's going to just go away. So if you can prove to him that you know that, just tell him, you are an illusion to help me grow. The only reason your voice is in my head is because I'm going to overcome it. So then next time that voice comes in my head that tells me, Faigy, lie to your mom. And I'm like, I know you're not real because in an hour, I'm going to tell my mom the truth, right? So maybe I'll lie to her this time, but in an hour, I'm going to tell her what really happened. So you, number one, prove to the bad guy that he's fake and that he's an illusion. Number two is, if it doesn't work, if number one doesn't work, it says number two is to study Torah. And why is that? Because Torah will give me a reminder of what my long-term goals are. We all live in this world and we have short-term goals and long-term goals, right? Short-term goals, make a lot of money so I can sit in my house and not have to do anything for the rest of my life, right? But that ends up becoming my long-term goal because I can't work so fast, right? So everybody has short and long-term goals. If I sit and study the Torah, I'll realize, oh, now I know what my long-term goal is. Really? Now I know what it is. I'm supposed to be working hard. I'm supposed to be studying Torah. I'm supposed to become a better person. By me gossiping, oh no, I'm not going to be a better person. By me eating whatever I'm not supposed to be eating and not being healthy in the long run, that's not, yes, maybe right now eating the ice cream is going to feel good. But in the long run, that's not what I eventually want to be. I want to be a fit person. I want to be a healthy person. So number two is study Torah so you remember your long-term goals. I do it a lot in my life, right? A lot of times I think the long-term goal is to be a very fashionable person, right? I'm like, I am going to go do as much shopping as I can. I'm going to do as many sale shopping. I'm going to go to Woodbury. I'm going to go to Paramus. I'm going to go to all the outlet malls because that is my long-term goal. That is, a lot of times I think that. I'm like, ooh, I have a lunch break. I Google like what shopping is around and I did. I actually didn't find clothing. I found food stores. I found kosher food in Riverdale near my work. And I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. But I think I have an hour, let me go shopping. That is my long-term goal? No. So how do I remind myself? I started downloading classes and listening to classes on my way to work and my way home from work. So I remember that even if I get out early, I should not stop at Green Acres Mall on my way home. Because my long-term goal is not to be a fashionable person. My long-term goal is to be a knowledgeable person and to study more Torah. And I'm telling you, it's helped me. Learning Torah on my way to work and on my way home has helped me control all these short-term things that I think are what I want for the rest of my life. So number one, pit your Yetzer Tov against your Yetzer Hara. Number two, study Torah to remember why we're here. Number three is say the Shema. Why? Because when I say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, I remember, oh, what does Echad mean? What does Yichad Hashem mean? It means it's one. It means the good guy and the bad guy are one. There is no fragmentation. There's no good angel. There's no bad angel. There's only one big good angel who hired a lot of little bad angels to help me grow and to help me and to help challenge me. So number one, pit my Yetzer Hara against my Yetzer Tov. You are an illusion. Number two, study Torah. Number three, say the Shema. And by the way, when you do say the Shema now you know that it's not only a constant mitzvah, not only say it in the morning and at night, but it is a constant mitzvah. Why is that? Before you say the Shema, remember, think to yourself, okay, what is it that I always think bothers me, that I always think controls my desires, that I need to do so badly and I can't control it? Let me remember Yichad Hashem. Let me remember that Hashem is one and He's tricking me in order to challenge me. So that's number three. And number four, it says if all else fails, this is really bad. So this is really if all else fails. it says, remind yourself of your day of death. Remind yourself that one day you're going to die and you're going to be held accountable for everything you do. But that's like last chance, like last resort. You don't want to go there. You want to start slowly remembering that there's an illusion. Remember that there's Torah. Remember there's Yichud Hashem. And that is all bringing us to this concept mitzvah of oneness of God. So really, what is oneness of God? Oneness of God is going to change the way I relate to people, the whole way I relate to my life. So this idea of thinking that some things in life are holy, some things are mundane, some things are good, right? Some things are evil. We do that all the time. I'm like, that's a good deed, that's a bad deed. No, it's all one. How do I remember that? Oneness of God means that every single moment that I live in my life is for me to be able to achieve perfection. I know I want a good mark on the GRE. I know. And the only way I'm going to get that good mark is if I have hard questions in front of me. So every detail, every curveball that we get, and we get a lot of curveballs, right? I don't really know what a curveball is because I don't play baseball, but every curveball that you get is there in order to make you work harder and earn more credit for being here, right? We know that. It's all about earning points, right? So oneness of God means that there's no such thing as an unimportant task or an unimportant person. It can't be that something in my life is unimportant because that person came into my life to help me grow. Ever feel like that? Somebody, right, coworker is like, she is in my life so that I can work on my anger, right? So that I can control myself. You know you have that person that you work with, right? So just think of it as like, oh, it's a challenge. Oh, that's why you're here. Or arguing with your mom. Or any situation you have, you know is not unimportant. Every single thing is important. Your boss is just as important, right? Because we're very scared of our boss, as the mean coworker who's not nice to me. Because both of them are here to help me grow. They're both challenges. Every single moment can be infused with holiness. Anytime I'm like, oh, that's mundane. No, it's not. You can infuse it with holiness by saying, that is there for me to grow. That's another curveball. So we transform ourselves from being angry people, okay, or jealous people, to say, oh, I'm so excited to work on this area, right? If only we should get to that moment where like, oh, that's why I'm jealous, because I want to be a better person. Hashem is testing me, right? Think of it as a test. But knowing God's oneness means that there is no reason to fear Hashem or to lose hope and say, why is this happening to me, right? Because we can lose hope. You can say, why is it happening to me? Why? So what does oneness of Hashem mean? What does Yichud Hashem say? No, I know why this is happening to me. Because Hashem wants me to be a better person. That's it. That is it. I don't want to be Aladdin. I don't want to be a riffraff. I don't buy that, right? Riffraff, that's what it was, right? We don't want to be Aladdin jumping on tops of people's houses, stealing bread, right? I finally came to me. So this idea of knowing God's oneness means there's no reason for me to be angry or for me to fear Hashem, because I know that it's all this roadmap. This has been planned out for me. This is my bag that I came down with. The awareness that really Hashem is everywhere, and Hashem is really connected to every single moment of our life. Any questions? No? We're good? You all got it? You're okay with the Yetzer Hara? Yeah? It's a big thing. It's hard, right? Right? I know, it's really hard. It's really hard.